So there's a relationship in music between the feel for it, which is, that's the fun of playing, is that you feel something and you play it, and that's a good thing. And then there's sort of a cerebral aspect of it too. And I like both of those things. As a teenager, I began to play jazz, and which was, more cerebral than like kind of rock music that I'd been playing up until then. And so that's been a balance I've had to kind of deal with throughout my life. Is I want both those things. I don't want to just the one thing I hate in life is like, I like this, so I'll just discard that. I really don't like that mentality. I'm a both and, not a either or a neither nor person. And hi Wedgie, this is my cat. And so kind of the finding methods of doing that is that allows both aspects to have space in the music is a lot of what I've been thinking on over time. So if, for instance, is to say you're thinking a lot about 12-tone music, which I was thinking about a lot when I first started building this. So then you just build everything to have chromatic scales in it, and that kind of puts you in a position of you're constantly thinking about those, because those are the material you have to work with. So that while you're actually playing, you can just play, but you're playing in a context of this 12ness. And in the short term, and even the feel, that kind of compels you to relate to that, So I can build toward cerebrality would be the word, I don't know. So you can build toward that. And another thing that you can do with that is you can embed cerebrality in, with me it's largely in time signatures that I start out, like if I'm recording something, I start out with a non-4, non-3 time signature, and choose somewhere early in the process, something that suggests a harmonic field of some kind. And then again, by making prior choices, you put yourself in a position of responding that way. So you still get to just play, and that's the point after a while, is that when it comes time to play, you should just listen and play and feel and play what you feel like and how you feel like. And those are the couple of ways that I've dealt with that, because I think huge advances were made in cerebral music, whether it's Xenakis or Messiaen or Boulez. I don't know about other people, but I'm not really smart enough to do what they did on the fly, just picking it out of the wind. But what I can do is kind of set things up that relate to their context, and I listen a lot to those people so that I can kind of address the things that they were thinking about without necessarily thinking about them in the same very detail-oriented way that they do, where God, for me to play some of that would be, I'd have to practice for months and to be that precise. So anyway, the thing I really want to get at with this is that I think both those aspects of playing music, just the pure feel, the naturalness, the folksiness of it, is a wonderful thing. And I also think that using our intelligence is important. And so finding ways of doing that, and there's lots of different ways of finding that. You could take something very simple and be cerebral about it too. I don't tend to do that. I'm better off forcing myself into the position of responding to the cerebral with the natural than I am of responding cerebrally to the natural, you know. But I don't like leaving either of those things out of the music. You know, here we are in the 21st century. I don't want to be ignoring what we've learned over time. You know, it doesn't mean I necessarily want to continue with the methodologies that have preceded me. And yeah, you know, it's like, you know, where does I want music to have some complexity to it, you know, but I don't want to sacrifice the genuine flow that one feels while playing to get that complexity. And as a sort of tenet, if I do reject something, it's rejecting strict formal structures because they make you count too much or think too much while you're playing, you know, and ideally you're just in a position to respond to the circumstance that you find yourself in. Yeah, so, you know, to put it shortly is like, you can address your context and your, you know, your situation and your circumstance ahead of time to a certain extent, and then just allow yourself to be musical in that situation. And that allows, you know, a fair amount of simplicity. You know, an example, if you made if you made a bunch of instruments with octatonic scales built into them, then you would be thinking octatonically, which has all these kind of, you know, people that know this will know that there's all these implied like modulations within this thing, you know, so that you can think in a modulatory manner harmonically, but without having to think through like without having to do giant steps, you know. And I love giant steps. I love John Coltrane, and his career was just one of my best teachers, because he got to giant steps and he was, you know, man, that's getting toward the kind of discipline and the kind of precision that is in a lot of the contemporary composed music of his time, but it's still very joyful, you know, and then he turned from that, you know, he sort of like turned his back on that. It's interesting though that you still hear some of the giant step stuff in like transition or something like that. He's running bunches of chord changes. He's not obligated to run them anymore. He can just superimpose them on this basically pedal point structure that they're using in that. So that's a little bit of the opposite, if you know what I mean. Like you learn cerebral things from doing things cerebrally and then use them in a natural situation. So these can go either way. Anyhow,